Well, it's the afternoon of the International Bulk Shipping Conference, and I'm here with Morten Løvstad, who is the Vice President, Global Business Director for Bulk Carriers for DNV. And you gave a presentation today, a little bit earlier in the morning, gave a presentation about energy-saving devices and the situation that we're in at the moment. After your presentation through the anonymous Slido question system, you were asked about what makes carbon capture and storage more attractive than alternative fuels. And what would be your answer?
Yeah, I think there is no one solution fits all. So it doesn't mean that it's more attractive for all ships and all trades. But for some ships, for some trades, especially the existing fleet, it could be more attractive from a commercial and time-wise side, especially for dry bulk where the bunkering availability, all these new fuels may be a challenge. There could be more attractiveness to the use of carbon capture and storage. It will still take time before you have the full infrastructure available to receiving facilities and then transportation to store the carbon. But we think it is, we have an optimistic view on the technology development for carbon capture and storage. And we think that the cost of such a solution could be less than the use of alternative fuels, where we think that also the fuel cost will be very high and the capex of investing, either retrofitting or building new ships, will also be very high. So the totality, at least the estimates we've done, we think that carbon capture will play an important role, especially for the existing fleet.
Indeed, and I think the question came anonymously from perhaps one of the ship owners in the room, where yes, they have their fleet tramping, and it's the availability in the ports it's their question that springs to mind. The other thing that I picked up on was you also talked about the Maritime Forecast 2050 that DNV's been doing for how long now?
8 years.
8 years.
Yes.
8 years. Yes. Time flies. But you mentioned there are 50 people working on that. So could you give us, that's the first time I've heard that, so I'm very interested in that too. If you could give us a bit of an idea of how that works and the different projects they're on and so on.
It's actually part of a broader work which is not only covering the maritime sector, but we call it Energy Transition Outlook. So then it's for energy systems, it is for maritime industry, it's for land-based transportation and so on and so forth. So it's really a quite massive study where we try to both make a top-down and a bottom-up approach, analyzing macro trends like a growing population, the need for more food, the GDP, and all the factors that are impacting the energy transition. So it's a quite massive work to study both other analysis done by other institutions, research facility, universities and so on, but then also making our own scenario-based analysis. So we come up with what we think is the most likely development. So instead of having just a lot of different scenarios, we really try to come up with what is our best guess on what will happen, how fast will the energy transition happen, depending on new regulations, new incentives for decarbonizing and so forth. So it's a quite big cross-functional group of people, also involving external outside DNV, universities, institutes and so on, collecting a massive amount of data and trying to distill this into our own research.
Okay, and if somebody wanted to get hold of this research that you very kindly provided for the industry, how would they do that?
You can actually, first of all, you can download all the reports from our website, obviously from dnv.com, but you can also actually download the full data sets, which you can then run your own analytics and own dicing and tricing on the data. So all the data that we collect, we make available so that you can do your own analysis.
All right. Well, on behalf of the industry, I say thank you very much to DNV for that. Also, thank you very much because you've also one of the supporting corporate sponsors for this event. but you also do that for across a lot of our other events. So these events are clearly quite important to you. So could you give us a bit of an idea of how important, what you get from coming to these events and mingling with the owners?
And we do believe that the events that Riviera is organizing are excellent. We think it is a good collection of charterers, owners, managers, organizations like Intercargo, like BIMCO, and so on and so forth, as well as the class societies are gathered together when we discuss important topics. I think excellent presentations, excellent facilitations, so we warmly welcome these events, and we support them warmly.
Okay, and finally, Morten, just before you go, my eye has caught to your badge on your lapel. What's that about?
Yeah, this one, that's actually signifying that DNV has been around for 160 years. We were founded in 1864. So we are celebrating this throughout this year.
Okay.
Now for another 1.5 months, I guess.
All right. Well, that's great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.